are signs today that the Arizona audit may have been the canary in the coal mine for efforts by Trump-aligned Republicans to relitigate the results of the 2020 election. In light of news, we reported at the top of this hour that Pennsylvania Republicans are hoping to replicate the phony Arizona audit there. The call for a review of 2020 ballots in Pennsylvania came from a trio of lawmakers who visited the Arizona audit site Wednesday. One of them was a key player in Trump's attempt to overturn the Pennsylvania election result and was seen in the vicinity of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Joining us now is Pennsylvania's Attorney General Josh Shapiro. We have called on you often, as Pennsylvania has always been sort of ground zero for these efforts on the ex-president's part to invalidate the election. Do you feel that this moment is as ominous as any since Election Day?
I think it's a scary and I think it's a really dangerous moment for us, not just here in Pennsylvania, but across the country. And I think right now our country needs some real truth-telling and moral clarity. And we need leaders who are willing to stand up and say and do the right thing. I think these lawmakers that you've been talking about here on your show today, you know, going to Arizona on a scavenger hunt for Donald Trump, conspiring to overturn the 2020 election is not only dangerous, but it also distracts us from the very real issues that we need to be dealing with here in Pennsylvania and in the United States. They're trying to find votes for Donald Trump that simply do not exist. And what they're doing is really dangerous.
I've been on winning presidential campaigns and I've been on losing presidential campaigns. And the work of a losing presidential campaign is usually to go back and find out why people didn't vote for you. And this is not that. This is to go back and try to change the loss, to try to change the scoreboard by rolling the numbers, even though you know you had fewer points. And I wonder if you feel like people are sort of taking these attacks against free and fair elections. You know, we didn't have a peaceful transfer of power the first time. I mean, we do not now have elections that one of the two major parties in this country have faith in. We have 22 voter suppression laws that are the law of the land already. Close to 400 have been proposed. And we've got in Washington a debate about whether or not to maintain a tradition, not a law or a rule, in the filibuster as sort of a hurdle to even taking up protecting voting rights in America. Do you think the actions out in the country are being met? Is the moment being met in Washington?
Well, this is part of a pattern by Donald Trump and his enablers. Remember, Nicole, it started long before a single vote was cast in 2020 when they tried to sue to make it harder for people to be able to vote. They did that 19 times in Pennsylvania before the election, and we won every single one of those battles in court. And then 22 times after the votes were cast, they sued to try and make it harder for those votes to count. And then, of course, we know what happened in between the time that Joe Biden was declared the winner and January 6th. They perpetuated the big lie in court and in the community, and those lies led to the violent insurrection that one of those Pennsylvania lawmakers participated in that happened at the Capitol on January 6th. This is now the next chapter in that, continuing to perpetuate the big lie and then pushing forward legislation and these sham audits in various states to try and make it harder for people's voices to count. Let me make something very, very clear. If they try and bring this nonsense, this sham audit to Pennsylvania, they'll have to go through me. And every time they've tried to take me on when it comes to voter enfranchisement, or in their case, voter disenfranchisement, they've lost and I've won, and we've protected the people of Pennsylvania. And I'll continue to do that. But make no mistake, this isn't a one-off. This is part of a practice and a pattern that's being put forth by Donald Trump and those in service to Trump, as opposed to being in service to our democracy, or in this case, to the people of Pennsylvania. Those are his enablers, and those people need to be held accountable as well.
If the lawmakers who went to Arizona went on the state's dime, is there, do you have questions about that? I mean, should the state be paying for Republican lawmakers to travel to another state, Arizona, and audit the cyber ninjas' fourth audit of the vote there? I mean, do you want to know who paid for that trip, those flights?
Certainly it's on them to tell the public who paid for it. But I think the bigger point here is they ignore the simple truth of what occurred already here in Pennsylvania. And that is that we've had audits, actual audits, which can be a good thing. in nearly every single one of our counties in Pennsylvania, there was an audit post-election. In addition to that, our law requires that a sampling of 2,000 ballots in each and every county be reviewed to make sure there's no anomalies or any things that went wrong. We had actual audits. And then we had a certification in each of Pennsylvania's 67 counties by Republicans and by Democrats. And then it was certified by our Secretary of State and governor. The issues were addressed. They were reviewed. Proper audits took place. What they're doing in Arizona is not about an audit. It's about service to Donald Trump instead of service to our democracy.
Well, and as you're saying, I mean, in Arizona, there were 3 audits that took place there as well. And then the Republican governor certified the results of that election in that state.
Right.
I mean, none of these seem to be about actually counting things. And I guess you said that they'll have to go through you. Would you ban or bar another sort of phony audit in Pennsylvania?
I don't know legally what their mechanism would be for even doing this in Pennsylvania, but let's say hypothetically they wanted to use their authority as lawmakers, and some committees in our legislature have subpoena power, be able to subpoena certain things. I would expect that if they tried to go forward on that, and understand subpoenas can't be used for fishing expeditions. They have to be tied to a legitimate legislative purpose, of which this is not. But if they were to try and go forward on it, I imagine this issue would be litigated. I represent the Commonwealth, and I would stand up for the voters of this Commonwealth and the certified election.